What's good, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of Radiant Thoughts, and today we got a special episode. So we got three of us on the couch today. And we got
Tori J.
And we got Anaia back with us on the couch. She a Radiant Thoughts alumni, so
at this point.
and she rocking the gear, you know what I'm saying?
You see it. You see it.
So today we gonna talk. We got a different topic. I feel like we'll talk problems in the Black community and the issues that we have and how we could potentially fix them and try to get to, the root cause of the problem. So first and foremost, so how you feeling today?
I'm great, buddy. It's a new year. Happy New Year. Yeah, I'm great.
So, I know you reached out to me about talking about this. So what was the motive behind?
The initial thought was, so somebody here in Kalamazoo had got killed, rest his soul, on New Year's Eve. And like, it just fired up a bunch of inner, anger that I have towards the community because we know about stuff like this. I'm sure somebody know who did it, but nobody's going to say nothing. You know what I'm saying? So I had hit up Kente and I was like, we need to talk about this today.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
And that's same thing in Saginaw at the time of this recording. 3 homicides in 4 days. So, in which we've grown up in places like this, so we know things that's going on. We know like
it's
there's issues. And
it's looked at as normal.
It's looked at as normal. We kind of just, I said like not too long ago, whenever we see like a homicide or something, like we can they show homicides on Twitter and stuff. So, and it's just like, oh, somebody else got killed.
We just scroll past it.
That's a problem, and I think you spoke about it off camera. Like we just feel like we're numb to it, but really that's something that we have to deal with.
Yeah, it's an underlying issue.
So, what do you think like causes like those like numbness to it though? Just
constantly seeing something happen over and over again and you never see a change or anything different happening to try to avoid it. I think it's just like, okay, everybody gets in the mindset of this is just how it's always going to be. When it doesn't have to be that way, if people start to like speak up when they see stuff and, like
we
make
get immune
changes.
to it.
So, but my thing with that though is how do we change? Like, how do we attack the root problem? Because that's something that we've dealt with and it's been reoccurring for years. So it's way past the surface level. It's deep. So how do you attack those roots of the issue?
Inner work first. Everybody has to look at themselves first. Like we can't judge nobody else around us if we don't got our own stuff together. Like I feel like one of the biggest things is that everybody trauma dumps on each other.
Absolutely.
On each other. Everybody is depressed. Everybody has vices that they go towards, and I think everybody is enabling each other. We aren't calling each other out. We aren't warning each other. So I think that's what makes it. That's what fuels the fire.
I think we like you said, trauma dump. I heard the phrase like trauma bonding. So like we both dealt with certain situations. We just gonna sit and talk about these situations and bond over the traumas that we dealt with. Not knowing like it might comfort you in that moment. But down the line,
it ain't doing that.
It's not doing that.
We ain't healed from it for real.
Because we still discuss and still like we don't find a way to get away from that trauma. We just sit in it.
We suppress it.
Yes.
We suppress it.
Like,
and too, just trying to fit in, like just trying to be like the next person, like, oh, they doing that. That's cool. Let me go. Like the last episode y'all was talking about being yourself is being cool.
Like, everybody want to fit in. So but the suppressing it is bad. We think that we should go smoke, drink, or
go out,
indulge in our vices instead of going to deal with our issues. So that's why
definitely a problem in the Black community.
We don't like therapy. We don't talk with our parents. Our parents sometimes, and I can say like most Black parents don't got it together themselves. They haven't healed themselves, so they don't know how to heal their kids or it's crazy.
I think that's a main part of the issue because a lot of kids are mad at their parents for what they didn't have, not realizing the parents
they human too, right?
And so a lot of time, like there's no like playbook to raising the kid or dealing with things. So like you don't know a lot of things, and like I look back at the stuff my parents, I'm like, okay, they didn't know, so I can't really fault them.
You can't keep blaming
and so that like showed me that it goes beyond them.
Yes.
You know, like my parents didn't know, so they parents probably didn't know. My grandparents,
right. It's generationally getting passed. Yes.
Like it's generational traumas that constantly get passed down.
Yeah.
And how to attack the root is hard because a kid might be dealing with something that came from their grandparents,
right?
He has no clue about,
right?
So that's why talking about it.
That's why it's so hard to even try to address that trauma.
Yeah, we're setting ourselves up, and that's like the worst thing about it. Like, especially like when it comes to blaming stuff on the past or your parents. You know what I'm saying? You get to a certain age where you have to take accountability for your own life. You cannot keep blaming everything on your parents. Like, okay, now you old enough to say, okay, well, my parents didn't get it, their parents didn't get it. Okay, I'm gonna fix it for myself. I have to set an example. And a lot of us don't think long term. We only thinking in the present. Like, I want to heal myself because when I have kids and I get married, you know what I'm saying, I want to be my best self. I don't want to trauma dump on my kids. I don't want to put no bitterness on my kids. And I think nobody thinks like that.
No,
they just think for the now. And I think that there's a phrase like operating in survival mode versus thrival mode. And so we operate out of a sense of
day to day.
Have to survive. How am I going to do this every single day? To where we can't even think long term, where it's so hard for us to think long term. So we just think, okay, I got to do this so I can get this tomorrow. And so I think if we get out of that, which is going to take, a lot to get out of that, then we could begin to kind of, operate in abundance and stuff like that. But that's kind of a difficult thing to come out of. So, but I think it's also a lack of unity right, in the community.
We're very divided. Very divided. But when it comes to other races around us, we ready to fight everybody. You know what I'm saying? Like whenever we have like a police brutality case, everybody want to fire up and unite with each other. But we kill each other more than policemen do. We kill each other more. That frustrates the hell out of me. Like all the time. It's like fake.
It's that's why I always looked at that as like fake. Because
it's like fraudulent.
When they do something, it's a whole uproar. But when your own brother kills your own brother or any type of crime, somebody. Something happens to somebody, like it's the same.
We don't have the same energy.
No,
we do not have the same energy. If we could put all of the energy that we put into the shit that don't matter, it would be such a better position that we in. And that's why everybody on the outside looking in looks at us like we the problem. Because, I mean, to be real, we are the problem. And we aren't fixing nothing.
Yeah, that goes with the point you just made about at a certain point, we got to take responsibility and be accountable for the things that we do. We can't constantly blame, which the system is messed up. Yes, it is. Deal with a lot of BS and stuff.
But we got to learn how to use the system where they at.
Because the system ain't gonna change. You try to change the system.
We need to beat the system. We need to learn the system.
You got to learn the system and change yourself in order to change or make an attempt to change the system. So it was never designed for us to win. So I don't know a lot of times what we'd be fighting for to change certain things because it never was like we were 3/5 of a human. So we never was designed to fit in.
We were born to be
slaves. Much. So like if we have to figure out within ourselves how we change and I think that's where we have to start. But I honestly don't know what we can do to really start that. I know like just understanding yourself and going to therapy, figuring yourself out before you can help other people. But besides that, like I'm not really too sure of what things like we could do to change that, which I want things to happen. But it's like when you think about it, like how do you really unite and bring the people together without it, being frowned upon by other black people. So I really don't know how.
Everybody just has to have the same mindset of being able to change stuff.
And honestly, like at this point, it's kind of like, okay, let's say if I just said F the adults, let's just focus on the kids and start early. You know what I'm saying? At least that generation is set because they was taught what the people above them was not. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people nowadays are very stubborn and ignorant. They don't want to try to find no other source of change. If anything, they run from it. So if you don't want to be helped, you don't want to be helped. Great. But I'm going to focus on the ones that want to. So.
Because I think that's where we should start though with the kids, because kids come up doing the things that they see.
Right.
I think that's why a lot of our generation came up doing the things that they're doing now, because it's seen majority of the time.
You only know what you see.
You modeling it
until you taught otherwise. And so I think teaching from the very beginning is where it needs to happen. Like having a good upbringing, you know, shapes a kid for later on. And I think a lot of kids or not of people that's our age that have kids, they know that, but they still
they don't apply it, and they don't know no better. They don't.
And that's, I think that's what irks me. And then it just, the cycle continues. Yeah. And so
they be having babies for sure. I feel like some people really have babies to post on Facebook to have photo shoots with them.
The photo shoots. To
I have the cutest baby in the world, but they ghetto parents. They don't teach them no values, how to be respectful. Like, it sucks. Like,
and that's what it's about. Like, I think, like you said, people live for that, like, instant gratification or just to be seen, to just be known for doing something, instead of like raising your kids the right way to go be human beings.
Yeah, like, I want to raise you different than what I was. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? And better. You know,
that's like, what they should want. And just
it'd be a hot mess. They keep following the same habits and the same
and another thing, and another thing is that, like, I feel like the Black community has the highest rate of broken homes.
Absolutely.
And when I say broken homes, the parents not together, never was together, never thought about getting together. Like, and if a child could pick, they would want both their parents to be in the same house. Like, if I could have had my parents be together, oh my gosh, that would have been amazing. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I think that's also too, like, where that F's up at, because when you raised in a broken home, okay, now you're gonna aspire to have a broken home, or you're gonna think that it's normal to have a baby with a girl and you don't want to be with her for real. It's a lot of men that got 5 kids with the same lady but don't want to marry her. It makes no sense.
Like,
it makes no sense.
Why are you laying down with her? Like,
it makes no sense. And we don't believe in marriage either. That sucks. Like, a lot of folks is not married.
And I think I was looking at the statistics. Asians have the highest percentage of
and then probably white people next.
Asians, whites, Hispanics, and then us.
And then us.
And so us being at the bottom of that totem pole and not believing, not saying that each one of those demographics have great, dynamics, but
you don't see them put each other down the way we do.
You see Asians working with each other and building each other up, building communities. You see white people building communities. You see Hispanics for sure. And so we the only people that tear each other down and still think that 2 people in the household together does not increase our wealth or increase everything. And it does. And I was fortunate enough to grow up in a 2-parent household. Now that they have issues or whatever,
and that's normal.
That's normal. You deal with that. But I was blessed to be able to see both sides and have 2 parents in the household that cared and took care of you and wanted you to succeed. And so I think it's important that kids have that, because when you don't, and you just out here having kids with everybody,
you learning as you go.
And you spreading yourself real thin, so you can't even parent properly, which in turn, messes up the kids up. And so that's a problem that I would, hope to be fixed, because there's too many babies that's just popping up that don't have the proper upbringing. And we spoke about, having a community, to help, bring kids up and stuff. And you need that. That's necessary in order for all these kids that are coming out to be raised properly. So
people only gonna understand from their level of perception. So and that's what messes everybody up.
Now, how do you get people to
change their perception
on things?
They have to want to change their perception.
You have to want it.
Like, my first answer would probably be to give their life to Christ. You know what I'm saying? Like, because a lot of people talk about how they, how they believe in God and they want to post about God all the time, but they don't abide by the statutes of it. You know what I'm saying?
We was talking about that.
And I feel like if you really try to abide by that, read the Bible once a day or whatever, you're going to be motivated to want to be better. I didn't really want to change myself until I started really tapping into my faith more. And once I started living alone, you know what I'm saying? I want to be better than what I was raised upon. You know what I'm saying? I have high standards for myself, so I want to change those standards. So I don't know, people have to want it first.
I think people, when it comes to kind of fake living that lifestyle. I think people want it because it's kind of like, I wouldn't say it's just the cool thing to do, but it's kind of looked at as like, okay, if I post this gonna get some attention.
Yeah,
it's for clicks.
It's a trend.
It's
a trend. It's like clout in a way.
Yeah, and I hate that you use
like a cover up.
Yeah, use God and the Bible and being religious.
Yep.
For some clicks.
Yes.
And
to make yourself look better. Right.
But you got all this dirt underneath you that will come unmasked eventually. Right. Because, it's fraudulent.
You gonna post something about God and then you shaking your ass on your story. That don't make no sense.
It don't make, I think I was talking to Tori about that the other day. It was a post that I seen that a guy was just talking about how he's believing in God and the stuff that he's doing is through, Christ. And he was a rapper. And so, you can do your thing. But when you rap about killing somebody, that's not aligned with...
It's not aligned at all. I would get it if you're trying to fix yourself. But if you try to fix yourself, you need to change your lyricism.
Change the music.
Yeah.
Tori spoke about that, like, because we were talking about Sexy Red. And... It was
I watched that.
What did you say about it?
Like if she was to change?
Yeah.
Nobody would probably listen to her.
Yeah, and I think that's the problem.
She wouldn't be nearly as famous as she is.
Yes, that's why they say stuff like sex sells and stuff like that. And it sucks though, because that's how you know that like everybody is rooted to follow like this wrong path. Like why is that trendy for everybody? Like
I never got that. I always thought like the right thing was kind of cool. I was never one to just follow the crowd.
Me neither.
And I just would watch people that would do certain things. Like through high school, I would witness people be followers. I had guys that I probably was in groups with, and I would notice who was kind of following who do. And I'd just be like...
That's just going to end you in a circle of being lost your whole life.
Yeah, you're
constantly trying to seek validation.
Seek that...
And two, since you came from a 2-parent household, you probably already was structured to want to do the right thing anyway. Like that was already instilled in you.
Right.
Everybody else, they are lost in trying to follow somebody else because they don't have their own sense of self. They don't know who they is.
Just I feel like a lot of black people in general, we don't get like that love that like other races understand and like feel at home. So when you go out in the world, you're trying to seek
you're seeking
and acceptance for anything. And
that's very true.
That's not a good thing to do.
That is very true.
That kind of goes into what I seen you speaking about, just seeking love out of desperation.
Oh my God, yes.
And just trying to find a relationship, because if a girl might not have had a father and she's looking for that out of a person that she's dating, and that doesn't add up.
That's everything. Even like when you're talking about having multiple kids, if a guy never got love from his mother, it was never shown proper love, and he finds a woman that's like, oh, I'm gonna do whatever you say, go do whatever, he's gonna go do whatever. That's how he's conditioned to do that and all of that stuff.
So fixing that though, I think just starts with, like you keep saying, working on yourself. You gotta first. I don't think people realize that they have these issues.
They don't.
And so I think that's where you have to start. They don't think a lot of the things that they do are an issue.
It's a lack of understanding. And that's what irritates me too, is how the men and women are so divided too. Like when I said seeking love out of desperation, a lot of men thought that I was only talking about women. I'm talking about both of y'all, nigga. Because a lot of men target women for their background or their past because I, you know what I'm saying? I didn't have my dad in my life for a long, long time. So I used to be a victim to that. So if I am better now, I would want every other woman to change too. Because like, but men don't think like that. They just think, oh, like she a hoe and yada, yada, yada. But they never try to understand what the root of that was.
What the problem is,
Men like to worship money. You know what I'm saying? Okay, why are you like that? Why do you want to post guns and smoking all the damn time?
I feel like people know that they have these issues, but they try to avoid it because they don't want to talk about it.
They don't want to talk about it.
I really do think that people are aware of the issue, because like people be like, I know I ain't supposed to do this, but like stuff like that all the time. So I think it's just a matter of avoiding it because they don't want to talk about it. They don't want to bring up those issues. They don't want I think people
and they think it's cool to laugh at, right?
Yeah, they think it's cool to laugh at.
So if I go tell this therapist this, what's gonna happen to my life now? Or you know what I mean?
Right.
It's that kind of sense. So I feel like a lot of Black people just avoid the situation, avoid talking about it, avoid.
And then it make us degrade each other.
Right.
And we're not taught to be emotional as Black people.
No.
So if it's
not
gonna bring out all these different emotions that's gonna make me look weak, I'm not gonna talk about it.
I think we don't understand our emotions. So, and I think I'm
I don't think we do either.
Victim of that too. Like I very rarely cry. Like, I've never cried. A lot of things I just don't feel like there's a reason to cry. But then I think me and Tori was talking, and I just like, I realized I cried at, funerals. I cried my last basketball game that I ever played. But I'm like, other than that, I can't really recall so many times I cried. But I was kind of brought up
to deal with our emotions.
Yeah, I was kind of brought up just like, quit crying. Which I kind of, some things I feel like people cry about that are like,
some people be overdoing it.
Some people are sensitive, but
which is fine. Yeah, but because everybody looks what people are like. Yeah. So, but I do think we need to learn how to deal with our emotions so we can express them properly. And I think that's why a lot of people like lash out. That's why you see domestic violence and stuff like that, because
they don't know how to deal with it.
Bruised. Say if Tori bruises my ego and I don't know how to deal with my emotions and I just laugh
and I'm
out
gonna smack
her.
her. Yeah, like that's
like being taught too, because if you say like the system is against you, your parents are gonna teach you like you need to be strong, don't let them see you break, that kind of thing. So that builds and builds and builds.
That's why it's generational.
At home,
like
all of that just constantly builds up and you're a brick wall. And one day that brick wall is gonna fall down.
And it's gonna
crumble.
Even parents be avoiding it. Yeah.
And so like that's why it's generational, because if we're constantly taught that from very early on, then eventually it's going to affect in, a bad way.
Yeah.
So, but I want to talk about like the generational traumas, because when we deal with those and like certain things that we're told from when we were, first get recollection, and now when we come into society and we realize like, okay, I have to change this stuff. And I think that's why people avoid changing it, because it's like, I've been taught this way
for so long,
entire life, and I don't know what else to do. And so
you have to have that control over your mind. It's a mind game though.
And it also comes from people you surround yourself with too. A lot of people hang with groups of people that also don't know what the hell they doing.
Right.
So if you don't got no friends that can hold you accountable, you never gonna hold yourself accountable. Your parents don't do it, you never gonna hold yourself accountable.
That's like, I mean, like, okay, say you start a new habit or something, you're always gonna have that like old habit in the back of your mind. It's like a mind game.
It's the
like,
enemy.
okay, that's not right. So I mean, it's the same thing with generational trauma. When you're trying to like change and be better, you have to like control that. Like, when you feel that urge or like, to
that's what they say. It's literally the enemy in your brain.
Absolutely.
That's what it is.
Absolutely. People think that little mind in their head is telling them some good stuff a lot of times, but it's not like and then I think people should know right from wrong.
Yes.
And
they do.
Going to do a robbery, going to degrade somebody.
Everybody got that sense of, oh no, it's not okay.
Yeah, that is wrong. You know that's wrong.
Yep.
So logically, you would think that people would like, okay, that's wrong. I'm not gonna do that.
Right.
But they don't. And so, and that's where I don't understand, because you got the phrase "common sense ain't so common."
Right.
And so, and I really think that people aren't taught common sense, or common sense might be different from every from every individual. So when we say like we have common sense, somebody else's common sense might be that it's okay to rob.
Right.
And so like, how do you deal with that when you got that type of stuff going on in your head? Because I think that's just kind of,
I feel like it's also seeing other people in your family doing that type of stuff. You think it's okay. Like, oh, I saw him do that. It happened. He turned out all right. Like, if I do it, it's not going to do the same thing to me.
Right.
In reality, the person ain't turned out right though, because
but they don't show that. So
Right. Yeah. And I think it's coming from a lack of discernment too, or you have the discernment and you is ignoring it. You know what I'm saying? That voice in the back of your mind that's telling you, oh, this is not okay. That's the Holy Spirit. You choosing to ignore it. So if you choosing to ignore it, you're going to face the pain that comes afterwards.
Absolutely.
Avoiding it, suppressing it.
But just like trauma and stuff that like Black people, I would say, I guess it's men and women, but like a lot of people always talk about women being high functional depression, but I feel like y'all definitely would have, like, so much weight is put onto Black men.
Yes,
and they're taught to
men are depressed and don't know it.
Yeah.
They don't know it.
So it's definitely a form of high functioning depression.
They avoid it, chasing money. I feel like most men they worship money more than they worship the Lord. They care so much about having this ambitious mindset. They don't never want to sit down. They don't ever want to sit with their emotions. They don't want to try to figure out what's the plan for the next day because they just so on the go because they don't want to sit with their emotions.
But that's how they
That is being depressed. Right. Yep.
That's how they taught. You gotta go take care of the household. You can't rest because you gotta go do this. Yep. Like that's how they taught.
Yeah, it's a lot of, I think it's a lot of weight and pressure that is put on, you know, us, to where for a while, I think that's what had to be done. And so I think now we're kind of in a space to where you really can deal with your emotions. Because, like, all right, we worry about other people, you know, killing us or whatever and stuff like that. But I think back when that was what they had to do, like early, like once we got out of slavery and stuff like that, and they had to go to work, it was a lot more dangerous then, I feel like, because they had people like at their neck trying to literally hang them and stuff. So like now, like I said, do we deal with other men now that we have to deal with? Yes. But back then we weren't too much worried about our own kind. It was kind of like the white man or whatever. Yeah. So we had to really go out there. We were more
unified back when it was slavery.
And now I think it's just, I think now we have the time to deal with those things and are able to sit down, but we just choose not to. We choose to turn a blind eye to it and just, you know, continue to hustle, and I got to do this, I got to do this, I got to do that.
And we don't realize how much pain that is going to take on you, the person the people that you around, the kids you going to have. All of that is going to pass over.
Well, and that's just like we was talking about, like emotions and stuff. So as Black people, the system is already against us. We're already like a population that is low income and stuff like that. So like constantly going to work all the time, only working all the time just so you can make ends meet. Having kids, you got to prepare and like get them together financially.
You got to deal with daily discrimination, all types of stuff.
And just all the societal things that tie into like oppression of Black people. That's definitely a form of high functioning depression because you're dealing with so much stuff, yet you still got to go out and perform, go out and do all of this stuff. And eventually you're going to lash out.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's why a lot of people do end up in the situations.
Like the same way that we come to Facebook with our problems is the way that you need to take your ass to a therapist. Forgive me, Jesus. But literally, like, you need to go to a therapist, or you need to call your mama. You need to call your best friend. Like, it's so frequent that we see each other going on live, ready to fight, arguing with somebody posting about their baby daddy won't come see their kid. You know what I'm saying? It's something every day. But that's in a form of seeking attention. You seeking attention. Absolutely. You want the attention. You want somebody to care about you, but you're going about it in the wrong way. You posting about stuff that nobody care about for real. They're laughing at you, but you really want attention.
Yeah, and
seeking validation.
Yeah, seeking that validation from outside people instead of knowing what's right for you. Right. And they don't.
It needs to be channeled to somewhere else.
Yeah, I think we channel that stuff into the wrong areas, and that's what leads to substance abuse. That's what leads to crime. That's what leads to all of those things because we don't know how to channel our emotions and deal with things in the proper way.
But I know, like, most Black people, if they go and talk to their parent will be like, oh, that ain't that bad, I dealt with it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
and that's why I personally go to a therapist, because I could never talk to my dad about no man problems, about no boyfriend problems. And then my mom still, like, my mom is very wise, but she can also too come from a sense of maybe like a younger self where she's not that mature in that area, where she's just gonna probably like dismiss it. So that's why I got a therapist, because I don't want no bias from either side. You know what I'm saying? Like,
they try to trauma dump their issues onto you and make you feel like your feelings are invalid. Which is why people go to social media and seek validation elsewhere. They don't get that.
I think, like what you said, the biasness, I think when you have like a one-parent household, you literally get one side of the story most of the time. So if you grow up as a young girl and your mom constantly bashes your dad, you're gonna despise men, or you're gonna have a certain feeling towards the men that you encounter, as opposed to getting both sides, and you got a dad and your mom that's teaching you both ways, and your dad is showing you how a man's supposed to, you know, be a man for you, then you will have a different perspective on that coming up.
Very true.
So now I want to talk about the conflicts that we have with one another, and how that, you know, that's kind of detrimental. So
it be over the stupidest.
It does. Stupid. Absolutely does.
Yeah, we literally will kill somebody or try to fight somebody
because they looked at you wrong.
Took
your girlfriend, anything, like, so stupid.
I want to talk about that, actually.
Please, go ahead.
So I think on men and women's side, I seen a post that it was supposed to say, why does relationships not last?
Oh yes, what's one reason why, like, it's like a viral post or something, like, what's the reason why marriages or relationships don't last? I say lust.
Absolutely.
Lust.
Absolutely. It's a lot of lust, a lot of looking the other way.
Yeah, a lot of people say social media and
social media for sure.
I don't necessarily want to just say social media. Social media gave us a lot of access to everybody, but I don't think social media itself is the problem. I think the way people use it, the way
people perceive it. Yeah. A lot of people compare their current lives.
Comparing. Why don't you act like him?
Right.
Because before social media, ain't nobody see what other people was doing.
My gosh, and I wish that shit had crashed. Forgive me, Lord, again. I keep cussing. But literally, like, I want that to crash. Literally.
Yeah, because if you don't see, like, Instagram is a highlight reel, and you see what this person doing for his wife, you see what they doing for their husband, you see, and it's like
comparison is a thief of joy.
It's a thief of joy.
I'm gonna pick that, and you cultivate something that isn't even like
everything that looks good.
Right. Want. Like, it might sound good. Yeah, I think we all have that. You know, we all do that with certain things, and you should do that with certain stuff. But I think what you truly feel and how you truly feel loved, you know that, okay, I'm picking this. I don't really feel like I need this, but I think that's cool, so I'm gonna take that.
Right.
And so when it doesn't even like really align to you or your situation. And so I think that's like a huge issue, just the way people use social media. But also I seen a comment, it was like, people, like, if I see a guy over there and he's in a relationship, I go at his woman. Or if a girl sees another girl in a relationship and she go at his man, that's an issue. And I think that
it's a competition thing. That's
it's like competition. Like, okay, I gotta get over him or her, and I want what he got. And that's, I think, one of the, when it comes to, you know, problems in relationships, that's one of the main, not one of the main reasons within a relationship, but like outside sources, I think that people need to deal with, because there's no reason that you should be in that much competition that you just look at somebody and think, I want to take what he got. Or
well, they make music like that. That's all people listen to.
They do.
City
they
Girls
do.
got a song.
And people also don't understand too that the music that you listen to, like, you start to convince yourself that stuff like that is valid. Like,
absolutely,
it's insane. And I feel like that also ties with our community too. Like, you can't even say certain stuff. Like, you really have to refrain from stuff that you do and say, because niggas will literally kill you for that. Stupidest stuff. Like, but that's because, and I heard somebody say something on YouTube, like, a lot of people in the Black community, they kill you for what your spirit is, and so they want to kill the physical. Like, they want to kill the body for what the spirit is. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't change my spirit. You mad because I'm an anointed, spirited person, so you want to kill my flesh. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense? Like,
that's crazy. I never thought of it like that.
You really want to kill the spirit, but you killing the flesh. When you killing the body, you so intimidated by the spirit that you want to kill the body.
Dang.
So crazy.
I know. That's crazy. That's wild.
And that's literally what it is. People are like, Tori, we met several girls that don't like us for no reason. It's the spirit. It ain't me. It ain't my face. It's the spirit. Right. And I could never talk to you a day in my life, and you don't like me.
You don't like me.
Yeah, you hate me. Sheesh. If we had a purge, you would want to come hunt my house down. Crazy.
But I think, though, like you said, lust, though, in relationships,
that's bad.
It's bad.
It's bad. It's bad.
And once that, like, happens, and we're dealing with that in relationships, and now, you know, there's bickering between the two, and then you separate. Now, both unhealed people are going to find other people. Either healed or not unhealed, and then you mess them up, and it's just constant. It's like germs, like it's just everybody's getting contagious, and everybody has it, and it's just constantly spreading, and now the whole community is messed up. You know, so like it's like dropping poison in the well, and now everybody drinking out that well, and now everybody got the same issues going on, and so that's a huge problem. But when I seen that post, it made me think though, like what do you think the main things are that are damaging relationships besides social media?
I think people's own trauma in general, they don't know how to deal with that. So like you said, I'm poisoning you because I don't know how to deal with myself. That, like, you're missing out possibly on a good relationship because you don't know how to deal with yourself. Because you're not ready.
And you're not ready. You're just simply not ready. You're trying to force something that you ain't ready for.
Absolutely. And I want to talk about like we just kind of talked about it, but competition. And I think there's a saying like collaboration over competition. But I think for the majority of my life, that what I've seen has always been competition over collaboration. And I know there's healthy competition that you can have, but in a sense of
the intent is to compete.
I think as a problem in our community, we said, we don't have no unity. There's no collaboration. We rather hate and compete with somebody as opposed to going and working with them.
But I think that ties into us being taught that too, because if, like we said, like the world is not built for you, so you have to go and perform 10 times harder as that white person over there. So just constantly dealing with that, I'm gonna bring that into my own community too, because like, oh, you trying to get that spot that I'm trying to get to too.
We're conditioned that the position we in is not enough. And I do think in a sense too, like I can at least give like Saginaw credit, because I feel like Saginaw collabs with each other a lot in terms of like, you know, music, clothing brands, you know what I'm saying? Now, I'm only speaking for the people I'm thinking of in my head, okay? The people that I'm thinking of in my head. Lately it's been that, or like the people don't live in Saginaw no more, but they from it, you know what I'm saying? Like I think of people like, you know, like Ronnie and his, you know, like clothing line, Euphoric with Perry and all his friends, like Boom, you know what I'm saying? Like we have several people that are trying to make a name for the city, but it's people still trying to tear us down, and that's the competitive. I feel like we be having the intent to collab, but at the back of our mind, the opposing person could still be wanting to compete with you for real, and that's why most stuff don't work out.
And that might be why people don't try to work together though, because they don't know.
They don't know if it's genuine.
The intent behind what is your true intentions?
Right.
And I think
because people don't like to accept help either.
They don't. Man, oh my gosh, yes, black people don't like to be helped.
No. But I think
they look at it as they weak.
Yeah.
I was brought up, I don't say I just was brought up like this, but like I learned that I had to, you know, you don't automatically trust people just off first glance. You gotta
and you shouldn't.
And so you kind of have a mentality to where, you know, I don't know your intentions, so I gotta see your intentions first, and then I can work with you or do certain things. But I think people feel like everybody has some sort of underlying intent that's like bad, and then that's also like the enemy talk too. You know what I'm saying? Like the enemy don't want you to collab with this person because they don't want you to prosper. You know what I'm saying? Like there's always going to be a negative thought in the back of your head that's not really your thoughts for real. You know what I'm saying? That's something in your head that's holding you back. But people don't think like that.
That black people play the victim.
Absolutely, I think so.
Because it made me think about that when you said that you need to see their intent, but you don't know if it's like genuine or not. And people are always thinking somebody's out to get them.
Yes, but we also was born to. We were born into victimization too, right? Yeah. Okay. In a sense, yeah. Depending on what it is,
it depends on the situation. Yeah.
And sometimes we the suspects. We ain't always the victims though, for sure. You know,
absolutely.
Okay. Absolutely. We be causing the problems.
Causing the problem and then play the victim.
Right.
And so, but I think
women do that a lot.
Victims. I mean, we're brought up having like a victim mindset because of what happened to us in
Prior.
slavery and all that stuff, which is very valid.
Yep. But we can't keep using that.
As long as you continue to accept that victim-like mentality, you're gonna continue.
You're gonna walk in that.
Absolutely.
And so you'll never be able to get out of that,
right,
and become something better, something greater. And so, and I think that's why we always, try to play the victim. But even in other situations, though, we just automatically think that somebody wronged us,
and we're limiting ourselves too.
I don't like that because it's very limiting.
Yeah.
So
I can't get to where I'm trying to be because you.
My mama did this when I was 5, so
bro, but now you're 30, so
now you're 30. Now what? Like, you can't keep using that as an excuse.
So, what was that from? What's that? I can't think of the podcast. No, for sure. When it was like, was talking about like, I know it's you.
Oh, you.
Yes.
What can you do to change what happened? Like, how do you have to go heal that 5-year-old person?
Right.
No, your mama can't heal that 5-year-old person.
Right.
So
your mama ain't even healed her 5-year-old. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't keep doing that. Yeah.
So, but I think the just being victims, though, we have to learn how to come out of having that victim mindset in order to prosper.
Right. Yeah, we don't have an optimistic point of view at all. Nobody thinks, like, a lot of people in Saginaw, they don't see life outside of Saginaw. They don't see life outside of Michigan. Like, and that's unfortunate. It really is.
I think it just comes down to just the stuff that you see on a day-to-day basis. So, like, I was fortunate enough to travel and see other things outside of Saginaw, see life outside of Saginaw. So I knew there was life bigger in Saginaw. I think a lot of people have not been able to, so they don't know what life is like outside of they block. Or and which that's
they mentally blocking themselves.
And you're stopping your own progress. By just staying, like you say, in your own sequestered box.
Yes, you're literally in your own sequestered box.
In that setting, and nothing changes. And then people want change, or they think they want change, until they got to do what they need to do to change, and they realize, that might be too hard. I'm gonna just live like this. I think I'm doing fine. Until you realize when you 60 years old, that you wasn't living fine.
And your kids in their 20s, 30s, and they hate you because you wasn't doing your part. Like, it's a lot of bitter black moms out here too, single moms out here too. Like, it's sad because they, even if they was born with the right, let's say, like, home life, they was raised right, they will still not pass what they learned onto their kids. Like, they think that this ghetto stuff is cute, that toxic stuff, they think that it's cute. Like, and they're not, like I said, they're not thinking long term for their kids. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not gonna want to be this bitter baby mama because my kids see that I'm a bitter baby mama. Then they gonna want to be a bitter baby. I don't want to. They don't think about it like that.
How do you get people to refrain, from doing?
Don't dump your stuff on your kids.
Simple.
You need to do the inner work.
If like that made you the way you are, and you're upset and you're hateful. Why would you want your kids to be that way?
Yeah. It takes accountability first. You have to be able to look and acknowledge, this is a problem, so I'm gonna go fix that. Or just in general, because I don't even got no kids, and I wanted to.
And you single. Why do you want your kid to be 60 and single?
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they put that stuff on. Like, I see that they do that in movies a lot, where there'll be like a single grandma, and the girl is looking for a husband or whatever, and
the mom just don't want her to be happy.
I think you should deal with that.
Well, and too, so that TikTok I found, this lady, she's on TikTok, Dr. Judith, she's a psychiatrist. It was like a TikTok she did, and it was about trauma dumping on your kid as a mom, and she's like, honey, I told you all boys are the same, like that kind of thing. Like, don't put that mindset in their head, because that's gonna make them not want to go look for love, or not want to go, you know what I'm saying? Like, they're gonna think, you act like him.
And another thing that parents don't teach their kids early on enough too is the sex talk. We are never given proper sex talks ever, unless you was even people that was born into church, you know what I'm saying, they still was not given proper talks for stuff like that. I feel like if people was educated properly on stuff like that, they wouldn't be in terrible relationships like now, because they would want to refrain from even giving their body up. You know what I'm saying? It would avoid so many problems. Like,
and I think that's because you got the movements of who did the whole movement. Was that the 21 Savage girlfriend? Old girlfriend. You remember he was outside with the picket sign? Yeah, you remember that the slut walk thing. And I think it's become so like
stripping.
Well, like you said, sex sells, so that's what made people popular. That's what the generations growing up, all they see, they like, oh, that made her famous. Right. Oh, that made boys like her.
Right. Yeah, a lot of women want to be strippers because they see how much money that they making. But little do you know, like you probably. Like down the line, you probably not even gonna look at yourself as highly, or you're gonna look at yourself with less value because you literally make a living off of
picking up dollars,
picking up dollars and probably doing something in the back of the room. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, like you're actually you're feeding their perversion. It's a lot of perversion too.
And so that's why I think it's probably OnlyFans, all that. Yeah. And so we always talk about like the people that's funding what you do are a problem, but you're constantly you're feeding it, and you talked about that, like they got to do something, just to survive, and not realizing that you might think you're innocent in this situation, but in reality, the longer you feed them, the more they're gonna come. Just as bad. It's both sides, and I think people don't hold that side accountable for the things that that go on. And even with that, in the community, it's become very, which nobody can tell whoever what to do with their body. You can have sex with however men, women you want, and that's on you. That's your business. But it's kind of like it's promoted to have more sex with more shows, people.
Everything.
Yeah, and it's like, in my head, I was always taught that, the more people you have sex with, the more things that you do, the higher likelihood of pregnancy, the higher likelihood of STDs.
We probably got the highest rate of races, with STDs. I think we the highest.
But I think that comes from like the trauma thing. Like if you never receive love, you want to go and connect that soul with somebody else just because you never received that type of love at home. So like you're constantly moving to man. Oh, if I have sex with him, he's gonna love me.
And that's that lack of educational abstinence. Like if women knew the importance of just being, or abstaining themselves, they wouldn't do it.
I feel like that applies to men too.
I think we have it. We're worse.
I think, and I think it just affects us more. You playing this game of Russian roulette with God, and it's like what is the point? Like, it's crazy.
And like with men, it's more of a. I don't think we look at it from the same lenses as women. We kind of look at it from, okay, this dude he with that girl, he got that girl. Right. It's like the competition thing.
Right.
And we just think like, okay, if he doing it, I gotta try to go get this one.
Yes.
And it's like I was never like that, so I used to look and be like, why do you feel like you have to go run through every single thing in Saginaw? And it's like, what do you really get out of that? A person might.
And that's a form of avoiding your depression too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, going out getting some coochie for no reason.
Your vices.
That's a vice.
With your vices, and that's not healthy because, like we said, it can cause other things, and that's why a lot of babies are born that people don't want, and a lot of diseases come about that people don't want. And I think that's why it's a shame that sex is constantly promoted in that way. And I feel like abstaining is like cool, because if you can control yourself, that says a lot about you. Yes. If you just got an urge that you got an itch, or I gotta go.
Yeah, like watching porn too. That's just as bad. Like I heard somebody say, it's this same dude I had told you about at the on the last show that we did, Tony Gaskins. But he basically said too that another real bad issue with black men is that women too, they watch porn a lot. Porn is literally like a sense of cheating in your brain. You can't be in a relationship with somebody. You cannot be in a relationship with somebody and watch porn. Like that's literally that's mental cheating or emotionally cheating. Like you envisioning yourself having sex with somebody else. I just feel like you shouldn't be in a relationship if you have a porn addiction. You should, and I mean, even if you're not in a relationship, you shouldn't have a porn addiction. Period. That's feeding the lust.
Yeah, that's feeding the lust. I was just going to say that. That's feeding into having that, urge of constantly wanting to.
When you constantly do it, or like even if you have sex every day, you're gonna want it every day because you feed. It's like you conditioning your brain to want it every day. Like, no,
we do condition ourselves to constantly feed into
Yep.
what our vices are.
Yep, the shows we watch, the conversations we have, people that be posting stuff. Like I be seeing this status all the time about women that be wanting penis in a rose. Oh my gosh, why do I keep seeing that at the same time? Why do I keep seeing that? Oh my gosh, like keep that to yourself.
Yeah, I think they search for it, and then
and they don't know that's the saying too.
Yeah, and when it comes from multiple people, and now they like
it has no value no more.
Yeah, it's just like what's the
I think they realize that, but they're just so used to it.
They so used to it.
Why stop?
Right.
But there's literally no value after so many.
Right. Yeah. But another thing with the porn thing, I ain't gonna talk about sexuality. But another thing with the porn thing too is that like if you in a relationship and you got a porn addiction, your expectations for the bedroom gonna be so much higher. They're gonna be so much higher because you expect like
they're not gonna be
they're
able to
professional
perform.
sex workers.
Right.
And you looking for your girlfriend to do professional sex
You know what I'm saying? Like
that.
No,
it don't add
your
up.
expectations gonna be way too high.
And you're gonna be disappointed, and now that causes problems. Why you can't do this in the bed?
Go cheat and go
find somebody else that do it.
Right.
And now you feeding your lust addiction even more.
You see how the cycle just continues?
It's a never ending. It's a rabbit hole. You just keep going, going down a rabbit hole.
Very true.
But stop watching porn though.
Yeah, do the inner work. Get a therapist,
and
they can be black. I promise.
Facts. You ain't gotta go.
I found mine. First one I liked. I loved her.
She here?
No, so she's virtual. I found her psychologytoday.com. Okay. You literally can filter it by age, by race, all of that. The first person that responded back, I think I had emailed like 5 different black women. The first person that responded back was the person that I picked, and I've been with her for the past 2-3 years now. That's my nigga.
How has that helped you?
Oh my gosh, so much. Like there's some things that you come to your therapist for that your parents can't tell you. You know what I'm saying? You can't always. Yes, you can still pray about it, you know what I'm saying? But and a lot of people expect they spouse to be their therapist. Your spouse is not your therapist. That's why you need to get one. You know what I'm saying? Your spouse can't give you advice on everything. Y'all on the same level, right? And you are on the same level of experience as them. You know what I'm saying? So you can't expect them to just give you these therapist answers. You know what I'm saying? But I feel like having a therapist has helped me a lot. I used to have to go when I was in high school, and I didn't like it because I felt like I was forced. So once I chose to do it on my own when I was, I think, 21, I've loved it ever since.
That's cool.
Ever since,
That's cool.
Do you feel like you have like restraints doing it like virtual versus like being in person?
I love it being virtual, probably because you have more leniency. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't, and she in Grand Rapids. You know what I'm saying? I ain't finna drive all the way to Grand Rapids all the time, right? But I ain't finna drive to Grand Rapids all the time. But I do feel like it's just as good of a connection as if it was in person. You know what I'm saying?
I always wondered that. I felt like people might try to use like, because it's online, they can kind of hide some stuff. Right. Like you can see if you're in person, like you can see somebody's like nonverbal.
It's definitely the same. Kind of I feel like she can read me like a book virtually. It don't matter. I don't even think that matters.
That's cool. Yeah, I was looking for like a therapist or whatever in this area, and every time I looked it up, it always brought me to the website BetterHelp.
I keep seeing that one,
and I see constant ads for BetterHelp and stuff, and it's virtual therapy. And I'm like, would that really work? Because kind of like what she was talking about, you know, you can hide behind the screen instead of like, I like in-person interaction.
Right.
And when you sit and talk to somebody, like she said, you pick up on body language, nonverbal cues, and the tonality shifts in their voice and stuff. So I think that's why I probably would prefer in person. And
people got preferences.
Yeah, but I think even just having somebody to talk to, even just having that, you know, if I can text to talk to somebody about something that's not gonna judge me or then cool, because a lot of people don't have the accessibility to go to these places. So like, I think that's. And I think
therapists I'm sure they were trained to read energy. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely. So like, even if it's virtual, if I'm not giving her eye contact, she gonna know I'm hiding. If I'm trying not to cry, she's gonna be able to tell. If I'm fidgeting around, she know. You know what I'm saying? Like, 'cause she can see me. The camera always got to be on, so it ain't like, you know, we just talking on the phone. You know what I'm saying? Like, she's looking at me and I'm looking at her.
Oh, it's like a FaceTime?
Yeah, it's like FaceTime.
I thought it was like texting.
No.
Oh, no, yeah, then that's...
Yeah, she can still... Yeah, she can still... It's like, it's video chat.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
For sure. See, I thought it this whole time. I thought
personally, when I went in person, so I had like 3 therapists in high school. I didn't like it. The first 2 I think was white. The other one was mixed. So of course, I'm not gonna connect with the white ones. You know what I'm saying? Just off rip, just because of whatever, you know. Just the fact that, you know, we're not the same race. We don't come from the same upbringing. It won't be the same connection. And then the other lady I went to, she was real cool. But I think just me coming in person, honestly, I think that made me uncomfortable. I felt like I was going to the doctor. Like, and I always just get an anxiety just when I go to the doctor. So like when I'm at home in my own space, I write, you know, like pre-therapy notes. I write bullets of what I want to talk about with her. And then I got posts. So whatever we talking about or whatever I learn from after that, I write notes after that. And
that's cool.
Yeah, we got a really good relationship. That's my dog.
I think I got one friend that goes to therapy, and he tell me all the time, he said, niggas need to go to therapy.
They do.
He said,
they do.
Go to therapy.
They look at everything in such a different way, in ways you wouldn't even imagine.
Yeah.
Like there's been things that I wouldn't even want to talk to her about, but when I decide to talk to her about it, she changes my entire outlook on it. It's stuff that I feel like I couldn't even change about myself, that she has changed my perception on everything. You know what I'm saying?
Perspective. Yep. And like you said, it's not biased.
And it ain't biased, so right?
It's not coming from a parent.
It's genuine.
It's just.
Yep.
So get y'all a therapist.
Get y'all a therapist, please and thank you.
That's a fact.
We need it.
So,
do it for the kids.
In closing, is there anything you want to tell the people?
I just think we need to be better. I think we all need to seek Jesus. And I think that if we decided to do the inner work within each other, our community would be much better. We wouldn't be grieving as much. We wouldn't be struggling as much if we had that unification.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You got any closing?
I think just learning to do the work and look within yourself first, and then try to focus on the community in general, because you can't fix the entire community until you can fix yourself.
Yep.
So if everybody just looks, deep and do like a deep dive of yourself, moving forward, I think as a Black community we would be so much better.
Michael Jackson said he's starting with the man in the mirror.
I'm thinking of a Biggie line where he said something about, I can't think about it. I'm mad. Yeah, it was a Biggie line. He said the same thing. I think it was in Sky's the Limit. It's okay. It's okay.
I ain't a huge Biggie fan, so I wouldn't know.
What? My God. Oh, Kente. We know what the next topic gonna be about. You gotta start with the person in the mirror. You gotta start with yourself, and that's once you deal with yourself, then you can try to move on and help other people. But I think we should deal with our issues. We can't too much change the people above us, the generations above us, but I think start with the youth. Instill the proper things in the youth. That way they come up and can spread more positivity.
Set an example.
Set an example. Set the standard. Be the example. And that's all you can ask for. So this has been another episode of Radiant Thoughts. Comment below what you think are some problems that we have in the community. Let us know what you think. If you disagree with some things that we said, let us know.
Because I don't care.
I'm open for dialogue. Tonight it might not be.
Well, you entitled to your opinion.
Yeah, you entitled to your opinion. I say that because I don't think we said nothing wrong. So,
very valid point.
I want to hear your thoughts.
Yes, keep the conversation going. Yes.
So appreciate y'all for tuning in. This can be found YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all that.
Go stream it.
Go stream her music too.
Anaia _Lachelle, LACHELLE.
You feel me?
Period.
So and we out.
Radiant Thoughts.
This is class.